Welcome to Flock Talk, the podcast where we feature your favorite authors and narrators. Hosted by Craig Hart and Sarah Hannon. Visit us today at pinkflamingoproductions.com. And now, Flock Talk. Hello, all you happy flockers out there, and welcome to Flock Talk. My name is Craig Hart, and I'm here with my rootin' tootin' co-host, Sarah Hannon. How are things going on the ranch today, Sarah?
Yeehaw! They're going fine. It's actually this recording couldn't have come at a better time because my 8-year-old just started yelling at everybody, and I was like, "Oh well, I gotta go."
Right. Mama's busy. Bye.
Mama's got a meeting. Mama's gonna go do some laughing for 20 minutes, and then.
Yeah, we'll take advantage of those opportunities. The timing doesn't usually work out that well, so
no, it truly does not.
Take it. Well, you're in luck because we have a great guest today, Nikki Ash. You want to hit us off with a bio?
Yes, I'm very excited to welcome Nikki Ash. She is a mom and high school English teacher by day and a reader and writer by night. When it comes to favorite tropes, she is single parent and secret baby obsessed. But she writes all types of books, from MMA to dark romance to MFM and MM. We'll tell you what those mean in a second. When not writing, you can find her with a book in her hand. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi.
So, what is MMA, MFM, and MM?
Well, MMA, that's mixed martial arts. So my first series that spans about 3 generations is fighters. So they're in the UFC. So they're fighters.
Okay. See, that's what I thought, but then I saw the MFM and MM, and I know what those mean, and I was like, male, alien?
Yeah. So what was the other ones? MFM. That's menage. So we got 2 guys and a girl. Mm-hmm. And then MM is 2 males.
Fantastic.
All different types of stuff.
As an English teacher, you must have pet peeves when it comes to grammar. What's the biggest one?
I don't know. I think it's just as a whole, like I know what something is supposed to look like, and when it doesn't look like it's supposed to, it drives me insane. But I teach senior high school, lower level college, and so my standards are probably a little lower.
It's like you're reading somebody's paper. I'm inexplicably angry. I don't know why, but I hate it. Take it away.
I remember in high school, I had a teacher who just went up to the board, wrote the letter A, took like 5 steps to the right, and wrote the word lot. She's like, It's 2 words. A lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think like when I'm reading romance, one of mine is probably the wrong use of commas. Like people just like to stick them in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with my high schoolers, like it's like, okay, this is what a paragraph looks like. So.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine some of that stuff would drive you in because you're a teacher and a writer.
Well, they're in a world of technology. I say to them, just turn off your spell check for one day and see how it really goes.
Well, they're all writing in text form. You can see how that would, get ingrained in your head. I actually consider myself fortunate to have not grown up in this era. I was kind of at the end of it. But yeah, literally the first day of school, I stand up there and I'm like, so you guys are going to write, it's just a short, essay to kind of give me an idea. I said, and please make sure that you do not put any LOLs or smiley faces. And they kind of look at me and they're like, does that really happen? Yes, it happens. One of you guys in this room will do that. I'm just thinking about like Herman Melville, like, call me Ishmael, lol. No, that doesn't work at all. All right. But tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, about your path to becoming an author.
So when I got divorced over a decade ago, like 10, 12 years ago, it was the first time I was without my kids. And somebody recommended a book for me to read. And, I by myself, and it was the first time without having my children with me. And so I picked up the book and I just like devoured it. It became like my escape. And I just started reading. And for many years, I was just devouring like 400-500 books a year.
Wow.
Yeah, because every time the kids would go there, I was like reading like two, three books. Like it was just getting me through. I had been a stay-at-home mom for like 10 years, and all of a sudden I don't have these kids with me, and it's like, what do you do with yourself? Um, and I became obsessed with single parent, secret baby romances, especially fighter romances. One of my go-to authors was Scott Hildreth, and I just had devoured like all these books. And one day I just said to a friend of mine, I was like, I think I read them all. And she was like, so why don't you just go write your own? And it was kind of like a joke. And I was in the car and I heard a song on the radio, and it just like something came to me. And I had like went back and I messaged her, and she was like, so write it, And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write it. And I wrote my first book in about a week. It just
You don't mess around, do you?
like once I don't even like once I started typing, like I just couldn't stop. It just I've never done that again. I don't even know how it happened, but and so I was like, she was like, well, publish it. I was like, so I just kind of looked into it, and my aunt is a graphic designer, and she said, well, I can make you a cover. And then I'm a teacher, so I know a lot of other teachers, and so a friend of mine was like, "Well, I'll edit it for you," and it wasn't, the best job. It was me like, oh, "Okay, this has been my escape, and let's see how this goes." And I released it, and I sold a couple copies, and I was like, and people started like messaging me, and it was just like a standalone. Like it was just supposed to be one book, and it was fun. And there was like a side character, and these readers were like, when is she getting a book? And I was like, well, she's not. And like this was just supposed to run. And I didn't really make any money, but it was fun. And so I was like, one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write her story. And then I just kept writing. And
And now you're trapped in the world.
it's an addiction. I think I've written a little over 30 books now in
Wow.
about 5 years.
Wow.
Incredible.
It's just like it's an addiction. I just like can't stop. If I'm not like writing, I'm reading.
Well, good for you.
Wow.
There are much worse things to be addicted to, so
Truly.
congratulations.
Truly. So, given that you are, knocking them out, what is it that gets your flow? Like what is it that's easy for you?
To be completely honest, and this sounds really bad, and I hate to even say it because I know some people are like they struggle. It's just all easy. And knock on wood, knock on every piece of wood in my house. I've never had writer's block. I've never struggled. It just comes to me. I don't like sit down and go like, okay, what book do I want to write next? Like literally I'm in the car driving and the story just comes to me, and then I outline it and then I write it, and they're just there. It's almost like they're just alive in my head, and it just has to come out onto the electronic paper.
That's
well,
really cool.
Absolutely. And yeah, I wouldn't shy away and be embarrassed about it if that's a gift. Absolutely.
Well, so many people are like, oh, it's hard. And not that it's not. The hardest part is after I'm done writing it.
Yeah. The real work begins.
Yes, everything else. But the actual like sit down and write, it's just like it just happened.
So, do you have like a your own setup? Like, what is your writing environment like?
So I have a desk, and like I have an office, but I don't ever write at my desk. My desk is really where I mail out like signed books, and I kind of like deal with stuff. But normally I write at coffee shops. For some reason, when I'm home, I feel like, not that I do it, but I feel like I need to like cook and clean and like do the laundry. Again, not that I do it, but I feel like
Just want to reiterate.
I feel like I need to do it. My dog wants to be like in, out a million times, But so I'll go and like I'll sit down at our local coffee shop, and I could sit there for 7, 8, 9 hours and just write. So that's my favorite. Now, if I am at home, I'll sit on my couch and I can write, but it will be like in spurts.
Do you go to the same coffee shop? Like, do they know you there?
Yeah, I have a couple different ones. It depends on if I'm coming from work, if I'm coming from home. It depends on where I'm going. I try to use our local coffee shops, because, I try to use the small businesses
Hmm.
and they're really great about it. They've come a long way in like having outlets and nice tables and so yeah, I it depends on where I am.
Well, you're, quite experienced, a lot of books under your belt at this point, but what piece of advice would you give to a beginning writer who is early on in their career?
Probably it has to do with audio. I am not an audio book person, and because I'm not an audio book person, I did not do audiobooks in the beginning. And then as I became more and more, well known, a lot more readers were like, "Oh, when's this going to be an audio? When's this going to be an audio?"
Yeah.
And because I didn't have all these books from the beginning in audio, it made it very difficult. I did not have an audio following that nobody wanted to pick it up. Nobody wanted to deal with it. And so I had to like start from the beginning. And I thought because my books weren't big enough or whatever it was, I didn't do it from the beginning. And I wish I would have because audiobooks are a lot bigger than I thought. So I think the piece of advice is like, don't think like a reader. You need to think like a business. Like this is a business, and because I'm not into audiobooks and I want to read them, it didn't cross my mind that other people, that it's a big deal. And so not just audiobooks, but just things like that
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, well, I don't like it, I don't really prefer it." So, well, other people do. And so now I'm like backpedaling and trying to do that.
You have 4 books in your Love and Lyrics series, and they're all up for pre-order. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us about this series?
Yeah, so that is a rock star romance series. So I wrote a book called A Chance Encounter, which is available, and it's also going to be in audio soon. It was based on a couple, and his family owns a record label. And so the Love and Lyrics series takes place years later. It's their son. He has a rock band called Raging Chaos, and they're signed with his record label. And so the 4 books follow the 4 band members. Camden's the lead singer, Braxton is the guitarist, Declan is the bass guitarist, and Gage is the drummer. And so it follows the 4 of their stories.
How do you come up with their names?
The first step is I like have my readers, like in my reader group, I'm like, give me some ideas. Then I have to like go through and see how many times I've already used them because I have the worst memory. And 9 times out of 10, I'm halfway through writing a book and I realize that my main character is also the same name as like the villain from another book that everybody hates. It also depends on their ethnicity. One of my books, Through His Eyes, he is Irish, so I try to find an Irish type of name,
Mhm.
try to do that the best I can. And then, of course, you try to find the cliche names that go with, like, does this sound like a bad boy? Does this sound like a rock star? Because as much as we don't like it, to like have this lead singer of a rock band and name him like Bill,
I was going to
he,
say Floyd.
yeah,
I
like
was
Pink
thinking
Floyd.
Cletus, but
I
any of
mean,
those. There we go.
We've
Whole
all got
band.
one. We got a good band going right now. Bill, Floyd, and
Bluegrass,
Cletus.
maybe. I don't know. Now, if you could recommend, you have a lot of books to choose from. This may be a difficult question, so I apologize in advance. But if you could only recommend one of your books to a reader to introduce them to Nikki Ash, the author, which one would that be?
I think I would recommend No Strings, which actually just came out in audio. And it sounds amazing. And I'm not an audio person, but when I was listening to it, I fell in love with it like all over again. But because it's a single dad romance, and he meets this neighbor, and she's this quirky Southern woman, but she's really sassy. And it has like all the feels, but it also has a lot of funny banter. And one of my favorite things to read, like my favorite things when I'm looking for like a book, I'm looking for one that has the emotions, it has the feels. I want it to have some good steam. But I also want, to laugh. I want to laugh. I want to cry. I want, like feel like, I'm experiencing this. And I feel like No Strings has like the perfect mixture of all of that.
All right. What is one book you wish you had written?
One book I wish I had written, like of someone else's. Oh, that's hard because I feel like them writing it is why I love it.
That's a really great answer.
That's a good point.
That's
Yeah.
a fine answer.
I mean, I could tell you, what some of my favorite books are, but I feel like I wouldn't have. I think a lot of it too is because I don't read all the same books that I write. Like, I tend to sometimes read darker books, or sometimes like the books that I read are like I can't write a mean guy to save my life. My guys just like worship their women. But every now and then, like I love a book where, the guy is just a complete a-hole. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on here. Like, or it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to write one and he's going to be so mean. It's going to be enemies to lovers. And then like 5 pages in and he's like kissing her butt. And I'm like, oh, he's not mean.
Whoops.
But one of my all-time favorites is Surviving Amber Springs by Siobhan Davis. If I was gonna say like, oh my God, like, if I could recommend one, it would be Surviving Amber Springs by Siobhan Davis. I just think that the complexity and the emotions are just a whole nother level.
Wonderful.
All right. That wraps up all the main questions we have. We do have a fun bonus section, however, that we like to call Hot Six. Are you ready for this?
Yes, maybe.
Buckle up, listeners. It's time for Hot Six.
Question 1. What is the most overrated book you've ever read?
No, I can't answer that. I won't answer that.
You can choose somebody dead.
I think I've pretty much loved every book I've ever made it through to the end. I'm one of those people where if the first 10 pages aren't like gets me, I'm moving on. The overrated book. You know what? I'll tell you what the most overrated book was. Algebra 2.
Never used it.
Never needed it again in my life.
That's fantastic. All right. Question 2. What famous literary work have you never read, but you feel like you should?
What is that one? The Mice of Men.
Of Mice
Is that
and
what
Men?
it's called? Of Mice and Men. I've never read it.
My
Never
daughter just
had
read that
to.
for school. And
Never had to.
And she just said, "We're reading Of Mice and Men," and my husband and I just both went, "Oh."
It's a rite of
Nope.
passage.
Nope.
All right. Question 3. If you could be any animal for one day, what would you be?
Probably my dog, because she's spoiled rotten. She's just living her best life. She gets treats and gets to go outside and inside, and she's chilling on the couch, and probably my dog.
All right. What is your favorite bar pickup line?
Oh, I'm so boring. I'm like a mom.
Hello?
I've never picked anyone up, and I've never been picked up at a bar.
But you write books, you see.
Okay, and then as soon as you said that, the first thing that came to my head was, what does Mickey Mouse drive? What does Minnie Mouse drive? A minivan. And I was like, in my head, that's not a pickup line. I think that's a bad joke.
Hey, if it works, anything's a pickup line.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can't even think of a pickup line. I feel like I need to like figure this out now for later.
All right. Question 5. Looking back over your entire lifetime, what is your most embarrassing favorite song?
I don't know. It's maybe comes from, I don't know, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch or New Kids on the Block, but I think they came back now.
They did come back, or
Yeah.
I don't know if they are done coming back and they've left again, but they were back for a little while anyway.
Yeah, probably something like that. What was the one? Crisscross? Crisscross will make you jump.
Jump.
That might
Daddy
be
Mac will make you-
embarrassing. They wear their clothes backwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be it. I'm showing my age right now. This is not good.
Okay, last one, question 6. What is one thing you wish you could uninvent? It no longer exists.
Social media.
Oh, that's a good one.
Probably social media. I hate it. I only go on it when it's necessary. I am that person that calls you and you're like, why is she calling me? Is this an emergency? Like, I prefer to like speak to people, like face to face and, like hear voices. And I hate what it's done to children.
Yeah.
Especially like being with students and teaching high school. I think the negatives outweigh the positives in a lot of ways. Teen suicide and the bullying and the keyboard warriors. I just don't think that there's enough good. I would uninvent it in a heartbeat.
I 100% agree. Sarah is the one who came up with that question, and that was the first thing I thought of too, social media. Well, Nikki, this has been so great. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you for coming on Flock Talk. I really appreciate your
Thanks for
time.
having me.
It's been a delight. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me.
You've been listening to Flock Talk, the podcast where we feature your favorite authors and narrators. Hosted by Craig Hart and Sarah Hannon. This podcast is produced by Pink Flamingo Productions. Editing by Craig Hart. Visit us today at pinkflamingoproductions.com.